Assalamu alaikum. Hello everybody. I wish you are in safe and in a good health. Today I will continue our book in IT auditing syllabus. As I mentioned in previous lecture, the CDA services classified into two groups or classified in two categories. The first one, assurance services and non-assurance services. Insurance services, as I mentioned, includes attestation and non-attestation services. Attestation services includes audit review, internal control, assurance related to internal control over preparing the financial statements and other attestation. For non-assurance services, the auditor may provide services such as tax services, consultation, or bookkeeping. Okay. As I mentioned, also we will focus on a review of financial statements, in addition to the examination of forecasted the financial statements. In the previous lecture, I talked about the review of historical financial statements, and we will focus also on the other one, or we will focus on the examination of forecasted or projected financial statements. Also, I talked about the services provided to non-public companies and the public companies. The CBA firm may conduct a review compilation, and preparation services to non-public companies. Particular review services, may be provided to non-public or publicly traded companies, as I mentioned before. Okay. Also, why the non-public companies needs a review. Okay, causes of the review financial statements of the non-public companies. In case of that, the non-public companies may require may need to receive a loan from bank. Okay, sometimes the bank asks the non-public company to review or provide review financial statements. Okay. As I mentioned, also the review will provide a limited assurance. Okay, rather than conducting the audit will provide reasonable assurance or positive assurance. In addition, the compilation or preparation of financial statement, there is no any report concerning to or there is no report contains the opinion by the author whether the financial statements already compiled or financial statements already prepared. Prepared are represented in accordance with applicable financial reporting and so on. Also, as I mentioned, statements, the standards that will be used as a guidelines to prepare the review or to prepare or to conduct the review or compilation or preparation of the financial statements for non-public companies. Okay, the author will use statement on standards for accounting and review services. Okay, well, as I mentioned, which already equivalent to auditing standard for that's responsible for issuing the auditing standard. Okay, also that we differentiate already between review and audit. Okay, in addition to review, in addition to compilation and preparation of financial statements also. Okay. The main difference between the review and the audit of financial statements, the review of financial statements will be considerably below that of audits. Okay, so the author will accumulate less evidence and prepare with the audit plan, less audit plan, less evidence to be accumulated and evaluated. In addition to the auditor will issue limited assurance instead of reasonable assurance. Also, I talked about the relationship between evidence accumulation and assurance attestation or assurance obtained. We have positive relationship between the evidence to be accumulated and evaluated and the level of assurance. According to the audits, the author will present a high level of assurance. Okay, at the same time, will accumulate and evaluate more types of evidence. Okay. In addition to the compilation and preparation, has no any evidence to be accumulated, or there is no level of assurance. The author will consider as a bookkeeper at this point. Okay. At the same time, for review, author will provide limited assurance. Okay, and also will accumulate significant or lower evidence to be accumulated lower than the extensive evidence for auditing the financial statements. Okay. At the same time, that as I mentioned before, the author to review the financial statement will focus only on two types of evidence: analytical procedures, in addition to inquiries of management. Okay, instead of concerning that instead of using other types of evidence such as confirmation, such confirmation of receivables, physical count of inventory, and any other test of substantive test, okay, of transactions, or test of details related to balances or test of control and so on. Okay, so that's mean the author only will focus on two types of evidence. Okay, inquiries that of management and analytical procedures. Okay. Also, I talked about and explained the statements on standards for accounting and the review review services requirements. Okay, the requirements contains obtaining agreements that engagement terms, ensure that to accept the client and to review the financial statements. The author will receive that an engagement letter. Okay, this engagement letter contains the objectives of the review. In addition, the author also will obtain knowledge of accounting principles and the practice related to the client industry, obtain knowledge of the client. Okay, make inquiries of management, perform analytical procedures, okay, and read the financial statement, receiving back the letter of representation, reconcile the financial statements if it was required, okay, and prepare documentation. Okay, this will be considered as a requirement of statements on standards for accounting and review services. Okay, to conduct the review. Also, that I explained with the review services or the report of review, which already issued by the reviewer or issued by the external auditor, when conduct the review of financial statements for non-public companies. Okay, this format of this report contains four paragraphs. The first one, introductory paragraph, which at this paragraph, the author will identify the entities, identify the period of financial statements. Okay, will identify the financial statements. At the same time, the author should confirm that or provide statements to assure that the author will depend only on two types of evidence: analytical procedures and inquiries of management. Okay, the second paragraph of review report for non-public companies. Okay, the management's responsibilities for the financial statements. The author also will identify the responsibility of management for preparing the financial statement, and this financial statement must be presented fairly. Okay, at the same time, that the management should maintain effective internal control over preparing the financial statement. The third paragraph, according to the statements on standard for accounting and review services, but the author will identify an accountant's responsibility or auditor's responsibility. The author also will identify that he will obtain limited assurance and obtain limited assurance. Okay, and he's going to conduct the review accordance with the standards or related standards. The last one, the last paragraph, the accountants or reviewer conclusion. Okay, well, the auditor will express his opinion concerning to the financial statements, to identify whether the financial statements are fairly presented or not. Okay, to express his opinion, which is started by we are not aware of any material modifications that should be made to financial statements. Okay, to make the financial statements prepared or fairly presented in accordance with applicable financial reporting standards. Okay. This book an example of that book in a prior reports book I explained book in the previous lecture. In case of the management, okay, let's continue today with talking about the failure to follow applicable accounting framework. In the previous lecture, I already explained the standard reports. Okay, today we will talk about the failure to follow applicable financial reporting or any departure from accounting framework. Okay, for reviewing the financial statements of non-public accounting. Sorry, for non-public companies. Okay, يبقى كل اللي احنا بنشتغل عليه دلوقتي بنشتغل على review of non-public accounting, non-public companies financial statement. Okay, in the previous lecture, I talked about the standard review reports and standard review reports, standard review reports. But today, we will continue the review report, which related to the failure to follow applicable accounting framework. As audit, if you remember, okay, if a client has failed to follow applicable accounting standards, okay, so the author should modify his report by that adding more paragraphs, okay, which are related to or to explain the failure to follow the applicable financial reporting frameworks that used by non-public companies. Okay, so that must the author should modify his report. Okay. Accounting standards are the same for all historical financial statements, including review, remember. Okay, so in case of the non-public companies departure, this applicable accounting framework or accounting standards, so the author should modify his report. So the report should disclose the effect of the departure as determined by the management or the accountant's review procedures. At the same time, the author should disclose the effect of this departure on financial statement. Even if the effect have not been determined, okay, but effects that have not been determined, the disclosure must appear in the report in the separate paragraph. Okay, that once أنا في عندي failure to follow أو في عندي departure from applicable financial reporting standards or accounting standards, so the author must disclose this effect on the financial statement or effect of this departure on the financial statements for non-public companies. Okay, under this paragraph, that heading by knowing the departure from accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, in case of this non-public company follow GAAP, okay, or IFRS. or IFRS طبعا ده لو انا شركه ثانيه كانت بتشتغل من applicable accounting framework based on the IFRS. Okay, هنا ده example just example فكره اللي فكره departure and the effects on financial statements may be disclosed and in modified book and audit review report. Okay, like for review report according to review services, in case of the non-public company already failed to follow accounting standards, the author will add the following paragraph in his book review report. Okay, under this paragraph or the title of this paragraph, known departure from the accounting principles generally accepted or IFRS or whatever in the United States or any other countries. Okay, this book is just example للباراجراف دوت. Okay, assuming ان الكومباني كان في عندها مشكله في اللاند. Okay, بدات ممكن حصل يعني departure from accounting standard. As you know, book fixed asset must be reported by its cost. Okay, in case of the company use book in other measurements, for example, book in fair market value or appraisal value, that will be considered as a departure from accounting standard or applicable framework. طب once ان الكلام ده حصل يبقى هنا المانجمنت الاوديتور once ان هو بيعمل ريفيو اوف نون بابليك كومباني يبقى لازم يحدد الديسكلوجر او يعمل ديسكلوجر for this departure. as example ده شكل الباراجراف اللي ممكن يضيفه في الريفيو audit report or modified audit report. For example, as disclosed in note number X, okay, to the financial statements, accounting principles generally accepted in the United States or any other applicable financial reporting, sure, okay, that land be stated at a cost. Management has informed us that the company has stated its land at appraised value or market value, and that if the accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America had been followed, the land accounts and stakeholders, stockholders' equity would have been decreased by $500,000. Okay, that means ان الauthor هنا should disclose the effect on the financial statements under this paragraph. يبقى لازم يدي explanation. Okay, هو ليه عمل فكرة modification of review audit reports. Okay, of review, sorry, of review reports. Okay, at the same time will disclose the effect if any. يعني لو كانت الأماونتس دي can be measured, يعني لو the effect can be measured must be mentioned. The amount must be mentioned. طبعا even if that there is no our amounts دي كانت unmeasurable. Okay, also the author will modify his report and add an explanation paragraph that why he to identify reasons or causes for modifications of review reports. Okay. هنا طبعا كانت الاماونتس can be calculated عشان كده الauditor discloses the amount and the effect on the financial statement in terms of dollar. Okay. طيب يبقى كل الجزء اللي احنا اتكلمنا عليه in the previous lectures كنا بنتكلم على review services for non-public companies. Okay, for non-public companies. طيب, today we will talk about the review of financial statements of public companies. The review of interim financial statements or interim financial information for public companies. Okay, according to the Securities and Exchange Commissions in the United States, for public companies, for publicly traded companies should issue quarterly financial statements. Okay, at the same time, this quarterly financial statement must be reviewed by independent person. Okay, this the requirements of SEC. Okay, but that SEC requires that quarterly financial statement must be issued and reviewed by the external auditor. Okay, so at the same time that the other requirements of SEC also that we can footnotes in the annual audited financial statement disclosing quarterly sales, gross profit, income, and earnings per share for the past 2 years. At the same time, and that's the requirements of SEC. Okay, the annual audit financial statements. Once in the CPA firm, audited the interim financial information. Okay, the quarterly financial statements and audited the annual financial statements. Okay, not the management. Sorry, and management should disclose in footnotes. طبعا let's do the quarterly sales, the quarterly gross profit, the quarterly income, and the quarterly earning per share for 2 years or for as a comparative data. At the same time, that the footnotes in the annual statements is labeled unaudited. Okay, يبقى برضه في الفوتنوت لازم يكون في عندي لو في عندي notes هنا in annual report or annual statement must be labeled انها كانت unaudited. Okay, يعني كان في عندنا quarterly financial statements وعملنا لها review بس ما عملناش audit. يبقى الستيتمنتس دي must be labeled unaudited. Okay, يبقى today we will talk about the review of interim financial information or quarterly financial statements. Okay. According to the review of interim financial information, the auditor should follow auditing standards. Okay, not using a statement on standards for accounting that and review services. No, the auditor will conduct the review of interim financial information based on auditing standards. Okay. يبقى بيشتغل على الاوديتنج ستاندرد زي الانيوال فاينانشال ستيتمنت or historical financial statement instead of statements on services statement on standards, okay, which relates to the non-public companies. Okay, at the same time but that ممكن for public companies interim review includes 5 requirements. Okay, but the auditing standards required that ممكن 5 requirements. The first one, obtain knowledge of the accounting principles of the client's industry. يبقى برضو at the same requirements. Okay, يبقى not بشتغل okay بالauditing standard. Okay, but not the same requirements for reviewing financial statements of non-public non-public companies. Okay, يبقى the same requirements. يبقى لأن الauditor will conduct the same concept. They will conduct the review. Will review the financial statements. Okay, يبقى whatever بقى الفاينانشال ستيتمنتس دي كان كوارترلي ولا كانت annually. اوكي يبقى لو انا كنت بتكلم على الانوال فاينانشال ستيتمنتس اوف نون بابليك كومباني هعمل لها ريفيو. لو انا بتكلم على كوارترلي فاينانشال ستيتمنتس فور بابليك كومباني يبقى برضه بعمل لها ريفيو. تمام كده اوكي. يبقى the same services provided by the CPA firm. So the CPA firm should obtain knowledge of the accounting principles of the client's industry. يبقى لازم يفهم الاندستري، لازم يفهم should understand the client's industry, the client's business, okay, to prepare the audit plan عشان يبدا يشتغل على فكره الاوديت plan and assess the client's business risk and assess control risk to assess عشان يقدر يعمل فكره assessment of risk of material statements. Okay. At the same time, booking the author should obtain knowledge of the clients. Okay, يفهم to understand the industry, to understand accounting principles, accounting policies, and so on. Okay, to prepare adequate booking audit plan. Number 3, booking third requirements. The doctor should make inquiries of management. ده نفس الفكرة لما كنا بنعمل review of financial statements or annual financial statements of non-public company. ده برضه note the author should make inquiries of management to accumulate sufficient and appropriate data. Okay, appropriate evidence. Sorry. Okay. The fourth requirements perform analytical procedure. The second type of second type that ممكن of audit evidence. Okay, اللي هو فكره الاناليتيكال procedure نعمل comparison to identify the unusual transaction, unusual amounts, unusual balances, and so on. The last requirements to review interim financial information, the author should obtain a letter of representation. Okay. Also like that statements on standards for accounting and review services. Reviews for public companies don't provide a basis for expressing a positive opinion level assurance. يبقى نفس الفكرة once in the auditor, okay, auditor هنا review the financial statement or review interim financial information. The auditor will provide limited assurance, negative assurance instead of positive assurance. Okay, يبقى دي نفس الفكرة ان هنا في عندنا limitations. Okay, sorry, ده ممكن in a review of interim financial statements less than or below the audit of annual financial statement. The same services provided by the CPA firm to review the annual financial statement of non-public companies will be considered as the same services provided by CPA firm for reviewing interim financial information of public companies. Okay, then the author also will provide that limited assurance, will express limited assurance or negative opinion instead of the positive or reasonable assurance as audit. Okay. According to the review of interim financial information, we have the similarities and the differences between two types of review. To review the same, as I know, the author will provide the same services, okay, and to provide the same level of assurance for public companies and the non-public companies, okay, for reviewing the annual financial statements of non-public companies and review of interim financial reporting for public companies. This services has similarities and differences. Okay, let's see. According to the first similarities or differences between two types of review, because an annual audit is also performed for the public company clients. Okay, as you know, in general, CPA firm will conduct the audit. Okay, the same CPA firm will conduct the review of interim financial information. Okay, معنى كده ان الاكسترنال auditor or CPA firm انه ممكن يستفيد من موضوع reviewing of interim financial reporting and conducting the audits of annual financial statements of public companies. Okay, so the auditor must obtain sufficient information about clients' internal control. It's so important for both annual and interim financial information. If you remember, to review annual financial statements of non-public company, okay, that it is necessary to evaluate the internal control structure, okay, to evaluate the effectiveness of internal control structure. It is necessary, okay, looking under statements on standards for accounting and review services for non-public companies, okay, or non-publicly traded companies. إنما هنا under public company, under publicly traded companies, the author will obtain sufficient information concerning to the internal control. In the control structure, the author هنا will evaluate the effectiveness of internal control. إن هو already كده ولا كده هيستفيد من الايه؟ من this evaluation of internal control structure in conducting the audit of financial statements. Okay. At the same time, looking at the author, as I mentioned, برضه ممكن يكون the same civil firm. Okay. Sure, looking at the author that book has knowledge of results of this audit procedures is used in considering the scope and the results of inquiries and analytical procedure for the review. Okay. يبقى برضه ممكن نستفيد من the same that ممكن audit evidence, okay, may be used that ممكن to conducting the audit, okay, the same evidence may be used in conducting the review. يبقى فكرة analytical procedures ممكن and the inquiries ممكن of management will be considered that ممكن as that ممكن types of evidence may be used that ممكن under review and audit of financial statement, annual financial statements. Okay, يبقى ممكن نستفيد برضه من فكرة types of evidence دي to conduct the audit of annual financial statements. Okay, under statements on standard for booking accounting and review services, the author make inquiries about actions taken at directors and stockholders meeting for public companies. The auditor reads the minutes of those meetings. External auditor or CFO, okay, for conduct the review for public companies, the author also will read the minutes of those meeting اللي هي فكرة stockholders meeting اللي اجتماعات مجلس الإدارة and so on. Okay. Also, a public company interim review is performed following standards of public company accounting oversight board. Okay, and the review report makes no reference to statements on a standard for accounting and review standard. As I mentioned before, to review the financial statements or to review the quarterly financial statements which already issued by the public company, okay, the author should follow the auditing standards instead of statements on standard for accounting and review services. Okay, but author هنا will follow the auditing standard which is issued by public company accounting oversight. The main difference also between two types of review. Each page of the interim, this item must be considered, okay, in review of interim financial reporting. Each page of interim financial information that accompanies reports should be clearly marked as unaudited. Each item or each page of the reviewing of interim financial information or financial statements must be labeled unaudited. Okay, أنا لازم أفهم الستيك ان انا بعمل ريفيو مش بعمل audit, وان external auditor will provide limited assurance instead of positive assurance. The other considerations, if the auditor determined that interim statements violate accounting standards, the report should be modified. as audit يبقى برضه زي هنتكلم كمان شويه okay على types of review reports. Okay, the review report may be standardized or may be modified. يبقى ممكن تكون عندي qualified or unqualified review report. Okay, the language of modification is similar to that used in the review under statements on a standard for accounting book and the review services, except that the auditor should state the effect of the departure if the amount can be determined. يبقى هنا exception هنا ان auditor should state the effect of the departure from applicable financial reporting if the amount can be determined. يبقى anyway لما بعمل modifications okay بكنا لازم اعمل expressions او اعمل disclosure للeffect on the financial statements. The next consideration, the quarterly data reviewed by the auditor and includes as footnotes in the annual audit statements should be labeled unaudited, as I mentioned before. يبقى هنا لو كان في عندي data already presented in footnotes of annual financial statements يبقى لازم اقول ان هي كانت unaudited لو حصل عليها فكره الريفيو. Let's see the review of interim financial reporting standardized reports. تعال نتكلم على فكره الكونتنت او standardized report of review of interim financial information. And standardized means unqualified or clean opinion. But clean review reports. When the auditor will issue the clean opinion or unqualified review report, we have many cases. The first one, if there is no need to modify the financial statements, أنا ما عنديش حاجة إن أنا أعمل modification of financial statement to be fairly presented in accordance with applicable financial reporting. As you know, as you know in the conclusion paragraph that already presented by the CPA firm for reviewing interim financial statements, and the author هنا لازم يعمل to express his opinion اللي هو فكره limited assurance. يبقى الاوتور هنا بيقول we are not aware of. يبقى هو بيقول والله احنا ما فيش حاجه ظهرت قدامنا to modify the financial statements. يبقى ما فيش حاجه تبين ان الفاينانشال statements دي not fairly presented، يعني ما ظهرش قدامه any evidence ان الفاينانشال statements not fairly presented and require to be reconciled or to require to be modified. يبقى the first cause for the unqualified opinion, or unqualified review report, in case of there is no need to modify the financial statements to be fairly presented. The second cause or second condition to issue unqualified review report, there is no scope restrictions as audit, if you remember. لو انا في عندي فكره scope restrictions or scope limitations whatever بدك material or some material whatever author هنا will modify his opinion. But will express qualified or disclaimer from the engagement of reviewing interim financial information. The author will issue unqualified opinion in case of there is no scope restriction or scope limitation. But the author accumulate sufficient and appropriate evidence. The auditor conduct with the inquiries of management and analytical procedures. يبقى ما كانش عنده أزمة فكرة إن هو to accumulate sufficient evidence. Through طبعا فكرة inquiries of management and analytical procedures. The last condition to issue unqualified review report in case of there is no material departure from applicable financial reporting standards, or applicable financial reporting framework, whatever by GAS or IFRS. In case of there is no departure, there is no material departure from applicable financial reporting. يبقى هنا الauthor will issue unqualified review reports. But the content of the review report or standardized review report will include 3 paragraphs. The first one, introductory. The second, scope, and the last one is conclusion. يبقى هنا if you remember, under review of annual financial statements of non-public companies, the standardized review report contains 4 paragraphs, if you remember. But under unqualified review report for public company, for public companies contains only 3 paragraphs. You should review book in the 4 paragraphs, if you remember. But the first one is introductory, the second one was book on management responsibility, accountant responsibility, and conclusion. But we have 4 paragraphs in standardized that review report for non-public company. But for public company, for public companies, the standardized or unqualified review report or clean opinion, includes only 3 paragraphs. The first one, introductory, second, scope, and the third is conclusion. The same content, but in general, but in the same content of introductory paragraph, the author will identify the period identified with the quarterly financial statements, okay, the components of quarterly financial statements, and the period that covered, or the quarter already covered, the quarter covered or the period covered. At the same time, the author should express that statement that the author already express his opinion based on two types of evidence to be accumulated. Okay, فكره ان هو نعمل inquiries of management plus طبعا analytical procedure. Scope that ممكن scope paragraph that the author should present a statement concerning to the standards that will be used to plan to accumulate evidence and to express his opinion. اللي هو فكره نقول والله to express opinion, the author will follow the accounting standards or auditing standard which issued by a public company accounting oversight board to review interim financial information. Okay, the last one or the last paragraph includes the conclusion. Okay, the author will express his opinion concerning to the presence of financial statements and will start by we have no book now aware we weren't aware of anything to modify the financial statements. You know, ما كانش عنده حاجة to modify the financial statements. Okay, this book an example of report. Okay, for interim financial statements for public company. The first one, okay, the first paragraph, second paragraph, and the third one. The first one introductory. We had a review with the consolidated balance sheet, okay, of our company and consolidated subsidiaries of September 30, 2016, but the third quarter, okay, in case of in final physical year ended in December, okay, and the related statements of earning, returned earning, and cash flow, and so on. Okay, the financial statements are the responsibility of the company's management. Okay, the second paragraph, scope paragraph, we conduct our review in accordance with standards of public company accounting oversight board. The author should mention that in the guidelines to review the interim financial statements of public company, the author should follow the standards issued by public company accounting oversight board. Okay. At the same time, a review of interim financial information consists principally of applying analytical procedures and making inquiries of persons responsible for preparing the financial statements. The author should focus on the analytical procedure, type of evidence. Okay, types of evidence which contains two types only: analytical procedures and inquiries of management. It's also it's substantially less in scope and the audit conduct يبقى لازم برضو to differentiate between review and audit in accordance with the standards of public company accounting oversight board, the objective of which is the expression of opinion concerning the financial statements taken as a whole and so on. Okay, the last one or the last paragraph, the author's report. Okay, sorry, the author's opinion concerning to the interim financial information. Based on our review, we are not aware of any material modifications that required to make the financial statements are fairly presented. Okay, this means implicitly the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with applicable financial reporting, but that is standardized or unqualified opinion. Okay, in case of the author review interim financial statements for public company. يبقى لو انا بتكلم على unqualified او بتكلم على clean opinion. Okay, this would be considered as a case study and try to solve this case. Okay, in your review of A Industries interim financial statements for the second quarter and June 30, 2017, which includes financial position statement, comprehensive income statement, cash flow statement, change in stockholders, equity, and so on. Based on your procedures, you concluded that there was no need to make a significant reconciliation to financial statement to be fairly presented in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. The requirement: what should you do concerning the situation? واضح جدا من السيتويشن ده او الكونكلوجن of the auditor, and the auditor will issue a clean opinion all unqualified review reports. Okay, يبقى الauditor هنا will accumulate evidence, okay, based on two types of evidence, the analytical procedures and requirements of management. Okay, then the auditor will prepare the review report. The review report contains three paragraphs. The first one, introductory. The second one, scope paragraph. And the last one, the author's opinion or author's conclusion. Okay. طيب الجزء اللي فات ده كنا بنتكلم فيه على unqualified or unmodified review report. For the following section, we will talk about the report modification. Okay, when the auditor modified his opinion, when the auditor will modify his review report. Okay, that auditor may issue qualified opinion or disclaimer reports. Okay, or the auditor may provide adverse opinion. Okay. Right. Let's see the causes of modifications. Okay, the cause of modification is the same of the token audit the annual financial statement. نفس فكرة causes to modify the annual audit report. The author also can modify the review report based on the same causes. Okay, the first one, departure from applicable financial reporting standard, or GAAP or IFRS. Okay, the departure from applicable financial reporting framework may include a departure from accounting principles. Okay, ممكن تكون الكومباني عملت departure from accounting principles for example فكرة revenue recognition or expense recognition. ممكن يكون في عندها ممكن sales ممكن في عندها sales في عندها fake sales okay reported okay or ان انا في عندي sales related to the current period reported in previous or reported in the following or whatever. Okay, that will be considered as example of departure from accounting principles. The other example, expense recognition. Sometimes the company may capitalize that booking expenses. Okay, ممكن تبقى شركة to record booking expense. والexpense that recorded instead of expensed recorded as asset. Okay, ممكن for example أنا بتكلم على depreciation expense او لو انا and vice versa. اوكي انه ممكن يبقى في عندي expenses اوكي not recorded booking as expense and capitalized. ممكن برضه يحصل فكره العكس انه يبقى في عندي assets reported as expense in case of a company acquired insurance policy okay for more than one accounting period okay would be reported booking as expense instead of prepaid expenses. Okay, at the same time, if company acquired a long-term asset, this long-term asset must be capitalized. If it was recorded as expense in the current period, that would be considered as a violation or a departure from accounting principles or accounting policies. The second type of departure from applicable financial reporting إنه ممكن يكون الكومباني عندها inconsistent application of applicable financial reporting. ممكن الكومباني تعمل changes in accounting methods or accounting principles. Okay, ممكن الكومباني assume إنه use the FIFO method to evaluate the inventory. Okay, but can change the method from FIFO to weighted average. Okay, this change, okay, must be acceptable by the external author. The external author didn't accept this application of GAAP or IFRS. Okay, that will be considered as a departure from applicable financial reporting. At the same time, that if the company also changes the depreciation method from straight line method to double declining or whatever, okay, that also would be considered inconsistent application of applicable financial reporting. In case of the company didn't correct this error or didn't correct the financial corrected the financial statements. Okay, if the company refused to correct the financial statement, the author should modify his review reports. Okay, the third types of departure from applicable financial reporting in case of the company has inadequate disclosure. Okay, then as you know, that company should prepare financial statement and its related notes. Okay, then لو أنا في عندي disclosure أو في عندي inadequate disclosure would be considered also as a departure from GAAP or IFRS. Next case, to modify the audit report يبقى في عندي uncertainty conditions related to going concern او في عندي uncertainty conditions. Uncertainty conditions يبقى هنا company should implement the going concern basis or assumptions appropriately, okay, by identifying the uncertainty conditions. At the same time, the company should disclose this uncertainty conditions, okay. يبقى لو يكون عندها adequate disclosure concerning to going concern assumption, okay. برضه لو هنا كانت company ما كانش عندها inadequate or in company didn't implement going concern assumption appropriately, the author will modify his review report, okay. The last one, this departure should have a material effect on the interim financial statements to modify the review report. يبقى لازم ده شرط بتاعنا فكره الماتيرياليتي ليفل، اوكي. لو انا في عندي departure from accounting principles ممكن or that ممكن be irrelevant disclosure or in the company didn't implement the going concern assumption appropriately and so on, and it has no material effect on the interim financial reporting, the author will issue unqualified review. Okay, there is no need to modify bookings. يبقى هنا الشرط بتاعنا فكرة الماتيرياليتي level must be implemented. Okay, to identify booking the departure from applicable financial reporting that has effect on interim financial reporting or not. Okay, to modify booking the author report. Okay, as you know, book the standardized or unqualified review report contains 3 paragraphs. The first one, introductory. The second, scope. The third, conclusion. In case of the auditor modified his report or review reports, the author will add a new paragraph, explanatory paragraph, looking to identify or to express why the author modified his opinion. اللي هو ادى او ليه الauditor issued modified opinion, issued qualified, issued adverse or issued disclaimer report. Okay, يبقى لازم في عنده justifications for modifying review reports. Okay, at the same time that the author also identify statements in explanatory paragraph to identify their effect on interim financial statements that must be indicated and reflected also on his opinion or conclusion. هو طبعا لازم يقدم reasons, okay, أو يقدم justification to conclusion paragraph. Okay, let's see the first cause or the first cause to modify the review report. The first one, departure from accounting principles. Okay, departure from accounting principles or inconsistent application or inadequate disclosure. Okay, but we have 3 types of departure from applicable financial reporting. The company may ممكن يكون عندها departure from accounting principles, ممكن يكون عندها inconsistent application of applicable financial reporting, or يكون في عندها inadequate disclosure. Okay, this will be considered as a reasons for or causes to modify the auditor review opinion, okay, or review report. The auditor will modify his opinion by issuing a qualified or adverse opinion, okay, based on materiality level of the departure. لو في عندي فكرة departure for accounting principles, okay, or inconsistent application or inadequate disclosure, ده كان material, okay. فكان material ولا سو material؟ كان material ولا كان pervasive departure from accounting principles. Okay, may the auditor issue qualified opinion or adverse opinion. Okay, if it was book material, the auditor will issue qualified opinion. Okay, if it was so material or pervasive, okay, يبقى فكرة الdeparture ده ولا inconsistency ده كان pervasive، يعني كان منتشر جوه financial statements or interim financial statements كلها. Okay, يبقى the auditor هنا will issue adverse opinion. Okay, يبقى فكرة departure from accounting principles or inconsistent application and inadequate disclosure, the auditor may issue qualified opinion or adverse opinion. Okay, qualified opinion in case of that this departure will consider as a material, okay, but not so material but not pervasive that through the financial statements. Okay, but if it was material, the auditor will issue qualified opinion and the report will include 4 paragraphs: introductory, scope, explanatory, and conclusion. Okay, if it was so material or pervasive through the interim financial reporting, the author will issue adverse opinion. Okay, and the report also will include 4 paragraphs. The first one is introductory, second scope, third explanatory, and the last one conclusion paragraph. The second type to modify the review report, the scope limitation. Under scope limitation, the author may modify Buchanan's opinion, okay, by issuing a qualified opinion or disclaim from the engagements, okay, withdraw from the engagements and issuing the disclaimer report. The scope limitations, يبقى the scope of the author has been restricted. Okay, أو في عندنا فكرة السcope limitation إن الauthor couldn't accumulate sufficient and appropriate evidence. Okay، يبقى مش قادر يشتغل على فكره الاناليتيكال procedures، ما عندوش الداتا. اوكي، او لما يعمل inquiries of management المانجمنت ما تجاوبش عليه، يبقى معنى كده ان في عندنا scope limitation. Okay, concerning to the accumulate concerning to looking accumulate appropriate evidence. Okay، يبقى فكره scope limitation ده ممكن على scope restriction when author has not accumulated sufficient appropriate evidence by inquiries that ممكن or analytical procedures to conclude that whether the financial statements are fairly presented or not. Okay, or the financial statements require reconciliation, requires modifications to be fairly presented. يبقى مش قادر يوصل للevidence okay to express او to form his opinion. يبقى برضه مش قادر يوصل من السكوب limitations او من السكوب restrictions ده ان هو يقدر to express his opinion concerning the financial statements, okay, or concerning financial information. يبقى هنا the author couldn't accumulate appropriate and sufficient evidence to conclude whether the financial statements are fairly presented or in the financial statements needs any material modification to be fairly presented also. Okay. So, we have to, the author has two alternatives, okay, to issue modified opinion or qualified opinion, or to disclaim it. To disclaim it, to disclaim from the engagement, okay. So, therefore, the author has two alternatives of based on his judgment concerning to the materiality of scope limitation. But scope limitation may be material, scope limitation may be severe limitation or so material. Okay, if it was material only, okay, the author may modify his opinion by issuing qualified opinion. If it was severe limitation, if it was so material or pervasive that our author couldn't form his opinion, يبقى ما قدرش يعمل accumulation of appropriate or sufficient evidence to express his opinion or to express his limited assurance. حتى هو كان limited assurance, okay, ومش قادر to express the limited assurance, then the author will disclaim from the engagements and issue disclaimer review reports. Okay. يبقى فكرة إن الauthor may modify his review report or disclaim from the engagement. It's a scope restriction where material but not severe, okay, but not so material, the author will issue qualified opinions which contains 4 paragraphs برضه فكرة introductory, scope, explanations, and conclusion. If the scope restriction restrictions were so material or severe limitation. هنا كان في severe limitation مش قادر يوصل لحاجة خالص to form his opinion, okay, concerning to the financial statement or the fairness of financial statement, the author should disclaim from the engagement, okay. According to disclaimer opinion, the review report will contain 3 paragraphs only, not 4. 3 paragraphs. Okay, introductory paragraph, explanation, and disclaimer paragraph. Only 3 paragraphs. Okay, but this amount must be adjusted. Okay, okay, but let's do that. Disclaimer: review report contains 3 paragraphs only. Okay, introductory paragraph. Okay, explanatory paragraph or explanation, and disclaimer paragraph. The third considerations to modify back the review, or the third causes to modify back the review report, going concern and significant uncertainty. Okay, if the author concludes that the management's use of the going concern phases of accounting is appropriate in that circumstances, but a material uncertainty exists, Okay, the author shall determine whether the financial statements adequately disclose the principal event or conditions. Okay، يبقى هنا once الauthor ابتدى يعمل assessment في الكومباني، اوكي لان في عندنا مشكله uncertainty او في عندنا significance or material uncertainty exists. Okay, and the company couldn't continue as a going concern at least for the forthcoming year. Okay, so the author will try to find whether the company disclosed this uncertainty or disclosed the material uncertainty or not. Okay, لو حصل فكره disclosure كان في عندها adequate disclosure, okay, the author will issue unmodified opinion or unmodified review report, okay, or clean opinion. Okay, but in case of there is no adequate disclosure, the author should modify his opinion. Okay, ممكن توصل لمرحله الايه؟ disclaimer. Okay, يعمل modifications or disclaimer from the engagements. يبقى the author will try to find whether the company عندها adequate disclosure for the principal events or conditions related to the material uncertainty or not. Okay, that may cast significant doubt on the ability to continue as a going concern, and the management plans to deal with this event or conditions. يبقى لازم تتاكد ان المانجمنت عمل disclosure للgoing concern concerns دي looking at the uncertainty or material uncertainty conditions. Okay, plus looking at how to mitigate these conditions. Okay, how to mitigate this uncertainty. Okay, هي البلانز بتاعت المانجمنت to reduce the negative effect of material uncertainty. يبقى عندها بلان ولا ما عندهاش وعمل disclosure ولا ما عملتش. In case of the management disclose disclose that disclose the material uncertainty, the conditions and the principles. That means that auditor will issue unmodified opinion. The unqualified report will be issued in case of adequate disclosure concerning the uncertainty and the vice versa. Okay, in case of the company couldn't conduct the going concern basis of accounting appropriately, okay, or deal with the going concern inappropriately, or there is no adequate disclosure concerning too significant uncertainty, the author should modify his opinion. Okay, ممكن يوصل لمرحلة clarification أو ممكن يبقى يوصل لمرحلة disclaimer from the engagement. Okay, this book the last case study. Okay, try to solve it yourself. But let's see what happened in this case. You are doing a review services and the related tax work engagement for M construction company. You have made extensive inquiries of management about their financial statement, and they have concluded that management has an excellent understanding of its business and is honest, but lacking in knowledge of technical accounting issues. يعني هي البزنس كويس اتس اوكي مش مشكله خالص بس عندهم مشكله في الاكونتنج اوكي او تكنيكال اكونتنج يعني ممكن تصادفهم ايه some cases اوكي والاكونتنت ما يعرفش يتصرف فيها. For example, but in doing the review you determine the following: number one, repairs and the maintenance expense has increased significantly compared to the preceding years. Okay, طبعا according to the analytical procedures. Okay, يبقى في عندنا unusual transaction هنا فكرة ان المينتنس expense already increased from previous year. The president said that this seems to have been a year with a lot of repairs, in part because their equipment is getting older. Okay, that can justification in ado the president. But here are requirements beyond the inquiries book and analytical procedure. What are accountants' responsibilities? Okay, responsibilities in performing review service engagement. Okay. Second requirement: describe what you should do in each of the preceding or in the preceding situation, assuming each one is material. يبقى هنا فكرة الcomparison أو based on الcomparison اللي هو analytical procedures, maintenance expense and repairs expense that can material item. Okay, what should you do? Okay, concerning to the situation يبقى أنت المفروض تقول لي هنا what are types of audit report and تعمل justification whatever بقى أنت هتشتغل على qualified أو تشتغل unqualified. Okay, whatever بس لازم يكون في عندك justification and prepare the and you should prepare the audit, review reports, okay, especially the paragraph related to the explanatory in case of you modified the review opinion or review report. اوكي يبقى لو انت هتشتغل unmodified it's okay. لو اشتغلت modified يبقى لازم يكون عندك justification to identify the effect on the financial statements. اوكي وهذا الجاستيفيكيشن اللي قالها البيرسون دي acceptable ولا not acceptable and so on. يبقى هنا الريفيور or the external auditor اوكي should issue limited assurance. هتقول لي ايه هي الكونكلوجن اللي وصل له، ولو في عندك عملت موديفيكيشن يبقى لازم تعمل الباراجراف اللي هو الاكسبلاناتوري باراجراف. اوكي يبقى لازم تقول ايه هي الجاستيفيكيشنز بتاعتك to modify the audit sorry the review report. Thank you so much. In the next lecture, okay, we will continue this chapter. Okay, as I mentioned, we already gonna focus on review. هنتكلم بعد كده على completion of financial statements، هنتكلم على preparation of financial statements، هنتكلم على the examination of forecasted or projected financial statements. بعد كده ان شاء الله هنتكلم على ال ACL يعني اللي هو how to use audit command language to review information system. Okay, which اللي هو already computerized based system. Thank you so much. I will upload this lecture as soon as possible. Thank you so much. See you next time.